Hey there guys, PC Guy here with the news in tech and gaming for the week, and we're starting with an update warning. It's not the most interesting of news I know, but I thought it was important to get this one out of the way. A few vulnerabilities have been found on AMD's Radeon drivers, so I would recommend updating from the version, well, the old version with the vulnerabilities to the 2011 version that should have those vulnerabilities fixed. Those included the possibility of a DDoS attack being used against you, as well as, in some extreme cases, someone actually using other malware to take control over your PC remotely. So these were remotely usable vulnerabilities. They claim that there have been no exploits detected as of yet using these vulnerabilities, but it's always better to be safe than sorry, so make sure to update your Radeon Adrenaline drivers. Now, with the actual big story of the week, which is kind of a complicated story that merges a few different things all together, the RX 5600 XT has finally launched, and much like Nvidia had claimed when they announced it at CES a couple weeks ago, it does completely beat out the 1660 Ti, which was their main competitor and their main point, so they were successful there. However, like I also reported last week and the week before, Nvidia responded quickly to that by lowering the price of the RTX 2060 to $299, which presents quite a bit of competition, because normally it would be a lot, sufficiently faster than the 5600 XT by just $20 more, that it would kind of make it a moot point. And what would be the point on getting it when you could get a comparable card for 20 more with RTX capabilities and all that sort of thing. Sadly, we couldn't test the card ourselves since we are way too small to get review samples, which brings us again to why I always ask people to subscribe at the end of the videos. I'm asking it a bit earlier this time, but yeah, if you would like to see the channel grow and be able to provide valuable feedback on products like this and actual good reviews and comparisons, it would be very highly appreciated if you could subscribe. It's great when you guys comment and like and all that sort of stuff, gives the video more visibility, but subscribers is what is really essential at this point to grow a bit further and be able to provide you guys with better stuff. Now, for the cards themselves. Now, this is where the thing gets quite interesting, because AMD responded not by dropping the price as they might have in other situations, and as Nvidia has responded with dropping the prices before, and the AMD themselves actually with the 5700 XT, where they made Nvidia drop their prices and then dropped theirs already, but that was according to plan. This was definitely not according to plan, and what they did was they just factory overclocked basically all their cards. They released a new VBIOS for the cards. The cards that will be manufactured in the future will include those new VBIOSes, so they'll be shipped out with the full-on capabilities. However, the cards that were already shipped out and already on the hands of retailers and brands and that sort of thing, they still have the old VBIOS. So that tells us that this was not a planned thing. This was an emergency response to stop the 5600 XT from just arriving dead in the water, basically. There are also other issues, like a few SKUs basically from different brands not using memory that is rated for the new memory that they use in this VBIOS, the new memory settings that would increase the 12 Gbps to 14. So some of the SKUs will not even have that enabled. So it is kind of a complicated story. Other issues might arise, like the coolers on less capable SKUs not being able to handle the increased heat and power draw that the cards will have with the new BIOS. But for the bulk of it, most of them, from what I understand, actually use a similar cooler to the 5700 XT, so it will definitely be able to handle it. However, this does kill most of the overclocking headroom in the cards, so don't expect to overclock it yourself much further than this. So yeah, in any case, when matched against the 2060, it does actually come very close to beating it, or beat it actually in some cases. So for $20 less, it is a good buy. It's just a very messy situation, because when people get the card with the old BIOS, they're not going to get the performance levels that we will see on a lot of reviews. They will then either leave it like that and be disappointed, which is bad for AMD's reputation, obviously, or they will try to update the VBIOS, which, while not being very difficult for someone with experience dealing with PCs, a lot of the average consumer has never done something like that, and it is not completely straightforward as you would expect. It's not like a driver update. It just installs it, and if it fails, you uninstall the drivers and install it again. VBIOS, if your card only has one BIOS, some cards have two, mind you, so if one fails, you still have the other to back it up. But if your card has one BIOS and your power fails in the middle of an update or something goes wrong, you very well risk the chance that your card is completely bricked. And whose fault is it then? Especially in this case, which is a very non-standard case. Yeah, who are you going to blame for that? I expect brands like Asus, EVGA, etc. are going to be, no, not EVGA because they're NVIDIA only, but brands like Asus, etc., Sapphire, whatever, they are going to be getting a whole lot of, well, support calls from people either disappointed with their products or RMAing them or having issues with the BIOS update. In any case, the 5600 XT is out. It readily beats the 1660 Ti, which is basically dead in the water right now, and it comes very close to the RTX 2060, so it's pretty much the competition for that in place of the 1660 Ti as before. The performance numbers we saw from AMD on their CES keynote seems to have some truth to it, with Ryzen 7 4800H benchmark showing it beating Intel's 9700K. Obviously this needs to be taken with a grain of salt since they are not really in the market yet, so they can't be very accurately tested by independent parties. However, it does seem to hold some truth, and obviously also will depend on the laptops themselves that integrate them, if they have, for example, enough cooling capability for such a monster of a chip, or if you'll just thermal throttle to hell. In an interesting turn of events, it turns out that the quad-core Tiger Lake from Intel, which will be the next generation 10nm, has been seen outperforming Ryzen 9 3950X in a Geekbench single-core test, which, well, it's not exactly crazy, considering Intel does have the lead in single-thread. Mentioning as well is that Geekbench is a pretty quick test, it's not a prolonged stress test, so factors like thermal throttling etc. do not really come into play. It's also a quad-core CPU, so obviously thermals will be a little less complicated than managing the thermal problems with the 12 cores of the 3950X. And as expected, it is very far behind in multi-core, which honestly is quite predictable. We're basically off to rumor land now with a few interesting rumors coming in this week. First of which is that AMD has received testing at their North America labs of the big Navi that is, well, supposed to be called the 5950X. It is said to have 80 CUs or compute units and is supposed to be outperforming the 2080 Ti by around 30%, while also having ray tracing support. Again, these are all rumors. The next couple of stories that I'm going to be talking about are just throwing it out there. I actually did a video earlier this week on the whole next generation Intel versus next generation AMD. That's a little bit less based on rumors and more on what I think will actually happen. But in any case, just to sum it up very quickly, feel free to check the other video for a bit of a longer talk on the matter. But I do think that this card, if it does exist, we know it exists, but it will probably beat the 2080 Ti, not sure by how much. But they need to launch it quick, otherwise they are going to be fighting against the 3080 Ti when it does launch, and then it's a whole other ballpark, because NVIDIA is also supposed to be getting quite an uplift with their move to 7nm. But again, this is all rumor land right now. And because NVIDIA also needs to be part of the rumor mill, obviously, the first specifications for the 3080 and 3070 have been supposedly leaked online. And while some parts are believable, others seem too good to be true. There is just, well, a few chips that have been leaked. Here's a few of the current generation for comparison, so you can tell, well, how much of an improvement it will be. Between the 2080 and the supposed 3080, you'll see an increase of around 800 CUDA cores. You'll see also the similar increase on the 70 series from 2300 to almost 3100 CUDA cores. So that much is reasonably believable. The thing that is kind of holding me back from calling this a legitimate leak is the information that the 3080 and consequently the 3080 Ti could be featuring up to 20 gigabytes of DDR6, and the 3070 around 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, which seems to me like quite a bit of overkill, especially in a year where the prices for VRAM are supposed to be going up because of the whole consoles also requiring it. So that much seems to be true, unless we are talking about some SKUs aimed at professionals using the same chip as the video cards, well, listed here. Information on the TI and Titan are not available yet, other than it using a 384-bit memory bus, and that's really all we know. It's kind of half expected that this cards will be announced at GTC on March 22nd. Don't expect to see cards launched then, unless it's some non-consumer products perhaps, but for the consumer products as we know them and are waiting for them for the desktop, you're probably looking more towards the end of the year. These have been the main stories for the week. Not much concrete on the video cards, I know, but yeah, they are keeping their cards close to their chest, because as we saw right now with the AMD's story with the 2060 versus the 5600 XT, revealing all the details a little bit too early lets your competitors have all the information that they need to actually, react to them. And in this case, NVIDIA lowered the prices, and AMD had to react in a non-optimal way. That's only going to create them more problems. So yeah, they are keeping their cards very close to their chest with the next generation of stuff. So yeah, let's hope we see some more information soon, because, well, we are all itching for a decent upgrade and hopefully for some competition in the high end. Other than this, we have seen other little things being announced, like some photos of the backports on the Xbox have been leaked, and it is very strongly suggested that we're going to see a lot of details emerging on the PS5 on the February 5. So that would include specs, pricing, how it looks, that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's keep our eyes open for that, I suppose. In other news, Half-Life and Half-Life 2 are soon going to be free on Steam, so feel free to grab them. I definitely will. I think I don't have those on my current Steam account, so yeah, always nice to have some freebies. This has been Attic PC Guy. Those were the highlights for the week, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drop a comment and a like if you have, and consider subscribing. Like I said before, that's what we really need to maybe sometime in the future get some brand support and be able to actually do hardware reviews, builds, that sort of stuff that I'm sure you guys would like to see, other than just plain regular news coverage and talking videos. So consider doing that and check out our other videos, and I will hopefully see you guys next time.